One evening, my wife and I decided to play cards. It was a tradition we had started early in our marriage, an easy way to relax and reconnect after stressful days. The game often brought out our competitive sides, but most of all it was a reminder of the playful bond. We often used games as entertainment, and this time we upped the ante by playing for desire. She lost, and I, as the winner, got the right to ask for anything. Betting in our games has always been part of the fun, but this time the idea of making a wish added an extra level of excitement and tension. The rules were simple. The winner could ask for anything within reason, and the loser had to fulfill the request, no matter how unexpected or bizarre. "Go ahead, make your wish," she said with a playful grin, clearly expecting something trivial. "Instead, I want to ask someone out on a date." She stared at me in surprise. "What? You're kidding? With who?" "Your mom," I replied, trying to keep a straight face. At first she thought I was crazy, but eventually she laughed. "Okay, a deal is a deal." The next day I got dressed, put on my best suit, and went to visit my mother-in-law, Mrs. Carter. Usually my wife and I visited her together, but this time I went alone. Mrs. Carter was surprised to see me, and even more surprised when I explained the situation to her. "A date? With me?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "And who exactly came up with the idea?" "In fact, your daughter," I replied with a sheepish grin. She looked amused, shaking her head with a mixture of disbelief and humor. "Well," she said, smiling, "how long have you been planning this?" "Since I first met you," I joked. "You have such a colorful personality." Mrs. Carter laughed, clearly enjoying the flattery. She brought homemade compote and snacks, and we spent the afternoon talking about everything from her childhood to her favorite hobbies. She reminisced about growing up on a farm, telling us about sneaking into the woods at dawn to pick wild berries and watch the sunrise. She also shared her love of painting and showed me some of her recent work, colorful landscapes inspired by her travels. The room filled with warmth and laughter as we delved into her memories, creating an atmosphere of nostalgia and peacefulness. She shared stories of her youth, including how she met her late husband and some of the adventures they had together. The conversation flowed easily, and I found myself genuinely enjoying her company. When I got home, my wife was anxious to know how it had gone. "Tell me everything," she said, as soon as I walked in the door. "We talked and drank juice and shared stories," I replied. "It was a nice, innocent walk." "That's it?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. I nodded, and she looked satisfied, though she still looked a little skeptical. Over the next few days, my wife brought up the card game more than once. She seemed to be amused by the whole situation, and she never stopped teasing me. "You've never been so eager to visit my mom before," she said with a laugh. "Are you trying to win her over with your charm?" She even joked during breakfast. "Do you think she'll invite you to tea next time? Maybe you should bring a bouquet of flowers." Her teasing was relentless but always playful, and I couldn't help but laugh along with her. "You've never been so eager to visit my mom before," she said with a laugh. Should I be jealous? A week later, we were playing cards again. This time, my wife lost again. "So, what's your wish?" she asked, already guessing the answer. "Another date with your mom," I said with a smirk. She laughed. "You're unbelievable." The second visit was just as pleasant as the first. This time I brought a gift of chocolates and lemonade. Mrs. Carter was touched by the gesture. We spent the afternoon reminiscing about the holidays and sharing family anecdotes. She even showed me some old photo albums, pointing out pictures of her children when they were young and telling funny stories about their childhood antics. Before I left, she thanked me for brightening her day and said she really enjoyed our conversations. When I got home, my wife greeted me with mock wariness. "So, how did it go this time?" "Exactly the same as last time," I assured her. "Just good conversation and a few laughs." "Well, I'm glad she's enjoying herself," my wife said. "I guess she's been a little lonely lately." As the days went by, our card games continued, and the playful dynamic between the three of us became a source of humor. My wife's initial wariness was replaced by amusement, and Mrs. Carter seemed to enjoy the attention. From time to time, she would call me to share an amusing anecdote or ask about a book we were discussing. In the end, it was all a lot of fun, and it brought us closer together as a family. Looking back, I can say that this experience reminded me how important it is to keep relationships lighthearted and fun. It showed me that sometimes the simplest gestures, such as a shared laugh or a kind word, can strengthen a relationship in ways I never expected. It has also taught me to appreciate the unique bonds between family members. even those relationships that often go unnoticed or unappreciated. It's moments like these, filled with laughter and fellowship, that truly make life unforgettable.